The German Hausfrau looks just like an American Hausfrau, and she lives in her own neighborhood and gets rocks thrown at her by the locals who invaded her territory, who come from Romania, Bulgaria. You're not going to see this on the local news that the marshmallow heads don't put out, because they don't want to tell anybody anything, because everything is covered up in the American media. The migrants that came into Germany are looking for work, but they have money to buy cigarettes and liquor and probably other things, right? So they're just mooching off the poor German people who are losing everything. These poor seniors are in poverty, just like American seniors, because we have to hand it out to everybody else but our own people, because we have an open door policy just like poor Germany does. Just because it's democracy doesn't mean it's freebies for everybody. That doesn't mean we have to be a doormat for everybody. You want to come, you come and you work. You don't come and you bring your 8 children. Watch this lady who's bringing her brought her 8 children to Germany. They're making it look like a slum. It looks like the South Bronx. What they did to the South Bronx, they ruined those beautiful neighborhoods in Harlem, where my parents grew up in Harlem, and they desecrated it. Now they're doing it to poor Germany, even though they haven't had it done as long as we've had the miscegenation done to us. The miscegenation and the ruin of a good nation brings down a nation into ruins, just because they take and from people who give without our permission to give it. So they can make something from it. They get something from it, these governments that take these other people in. And yes, if they come from other countries, let their government pay for them to come here, and let their government provide them housing and food and shelter. No, they don't want them. So they ship them to Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Scandinavia, England, America. Hey, how about taking a trip down to South America? I don't think the Spanish down there will put up for it. He's asking for their country to help them pay for their housing and food and provisions. These guys are young and healthy, okay? Get them jobs. And if there's no jobs, then ship them back. Because they want to stay and see if they can get somewhere, get something out of the government. Maybe a free education, or maybe get free assistance and finances. And like in this country, everybody gets something for nothing, and they never pay it back because the taxpayers can't afford to support them anymore. Now this broad, she has 8 kids. 8 kids she brought with her to Germany. Now who's going to feed these 8 kids? Is Germany going to let them starve? Is Merkel going to let them starve? I mean, just like here in this country. Or bring them in, or just come. It's okay. And you know what? You get, what do you call, illegal alien status, and we'll put you above American citizens who are waiting for a low-income apartment, such as a friend in the family, who's still waiting to get into a low-income apartment so he can have some money left over at the end of the month, instead of paying a ton of money on rent that the bankers charge for people who can't afford high rents over $1,000 a month. Because the average apartment in New York City is $1,250, $1,300 a month for 1 bedroom and up. Okay? And they expect people to pay that kind of rent? They're out of their minds. And the new Germany now looks like the new Pakistan, or the new Afghanistan, or whatever. No, why can't the German people have a town to themselves that belongs to them? They built up the infrastructure, didn't they? Didn't they pay the taxes and build up the roads and the shops and the schools and the churches and the shopping malls, and pay taxes to the German government just like in the United States? It's the same crap. And it's despicable. And I don't think people should have to put up with this. The leadership is in cahoots with each other. They're all sticking together like glue because they're no good. None of them are no good. You can't have a place to go without being bombarded. New York City is bombarded. Germany's bombarded. New Jersey. I mean, anywhere you go in the West, they're coming in and they're not working. They're not contributing. And they want you to learn their culture? No. Why should we have to learn their culture and and that this like with Hispania, like when they had to speak Spanish as a second language? I don't speak it. I speak Italian. Okay, but we don't speak Italian in New York. Only the immigrants to their own family members and friends. But it's not a majority language in New York. And these people have to speak German too, besides their own language. But look at them. I mean, they just come in and say, all right, here's a nice... And these people let them come in and they say, well, look, what is you going to contribute? What are you going to contribute to this nation to build it up? Free education? Who's going to pay for it? Free housing? Who's going to pay for it? Free food? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it but the taxpayers?